Hello, everybody. Welcome to the news. Today, we're going to talk about the reality of politics in Mexico. First topic is national state of Mexico's reality. Mexico will recover what was paid to buy the Texas refinery in 3 years. The president pointed out that this purchase was made with a reserve of resources that were available, which will also be used to build future projects. Andrés Manuel affirmed this Wednesday that the resources that were used to purchase the Deer Park refinery in Texas will be recovered up in 3 years. Our next topic is about Andrés Manuel, who brought forward the vaccination against COVID for people between 40 and 49 years old. Applications will begin in June. In the morning conference, the president said that the first application to this age group will begin in June. With this move, Mexico is almost up to the original vaccination program, which contemplated with 5 stages. The deadline could be significantly shortened. Mexico cancels definitely the construction of the new airport. The cancellation of the new Mexico City International Airport had a cost of 232% higher than expected by the government of Andrés Manuel López Obrador, amounting to 331 million pesos, an amount that could still increase. Now, in this next topic, we're going to talk about scholarships, credits, and pensions of AMLO's government. One of the main goals of López Obrador government is his social welfare policy. The plan focuses on assisting vulnerable groups such as young people, the elderly, single moms, and people with disabilities, among others. Now, we're going to talk about the growing insecurity in AMLO's government. 2018 was the most violent year since the last war in Mexico. Last December, more than 34,000 violent homicides were committed, according to the National Public Security System. Violence in the country during the present administration has also worsened in the case of the gender crimes. Not only intentional homicides are at their highest historical level, but also feminicides. Now we're going to talk about the Mayan train. This is a new rail transportation service that interconnects the main cities and tourist areas of the Yucatan Peninsula. The Mayan train is a project that will strengthen the territorial organization of the region and will increase the tourism industry. But it also will damage the natural environment of Yucatan.
State scenario of Mexico's reality. In Sonora, gubernatorial candidates hold campaign closings. 3 of 6 candidates in Sonora scheduled their campaign closings in Hermosillo, some of them with thousands of people in attendance. 1 week before election day, the candidates for governor of Sonora held their respective campaign closings in person, accumulating, in some cases, up to 10,000 people per event. Alfonso Durazo proposes a center specialized in autism. The gubernatorial candidate for the coalition, Together We Will Make History, in Sonora met with families working in favor of disability. Alfonso Durazo pledged to create a specialized center for this brain development disorder in order to attend young people and adults who suffer from the autism spectrum. CMIC Sonora will hold a conversation with gobernational aspirants. Members of the Chamber of the Construction Industry and the 6 Sonora candidates exchange proposals and concerns. The search for coincidences in the economic development of Sonora, as well as the exchange of visions, is what the members of the Mexican Chamber of the Construction Industry will seek through the elections of 2021. Murder of Abel Murrieta suspends political campaigns in Sonora. The murder of Abel Murrieta mourned the political sphere as well as the citizens in the state, paralyzing all campaign actions as a protest against the unfortunate facts and waiting for the authorities to clarify the case. So far, the candidates of the political parties issued their condolences to the family and condemned what happened in Ciudad Obregón. Claudia Pavlovich condemns murder of Abel Murrieta. The governor said that the mechanisms of justice in the state will be implemented to clarify the case. Through her Twitter account, the governor of Sonora, Claudia Pavlovich, condemned the attack suffered by the mayoral candidate of TECNM por Movimiento Ciudadano, Abel Murrieta, in which armed subjects took his life while he was handing out flyers. Candidate security proposals are unclear. The Observatorio Sonora por la Seguridad points out that there is no clear support for the proposals to bring security to the state. As there are still important security deficiencies in Sonora, together with the lack of professionalism on the part of the governing authorities, the crime rates are increasing, so new proposals in this matter are important, and this is all for the state scenario of Mexico's reality.
Canaco invites residents of Hermosillo to go out and vote responsibly and freely. Ario Bojorquez invited both the business community and the population to make use of their right to vote responsibly and freely in the June 6 elections. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it is expected that the number of voters to the upcoming election day will decrease compared to previous years. Bojorquez made a call to go out and vote freely. Sonora stops caravan against the re-election of Celida López. Around 100 cars stated to demonstrate against the candidacy of the mayor of Hermosillo. A caravan of the National Anti-AMLO Front began in the intersection of Morales and López Portillo boulevards, and a demonstration against Celida López for re-election as a mayor of Hermosillo. Demonstrators against the re-election of Celida López started the caravan around 6 p.m. this Saturday, just a few days before the elections on June 6. Celida López is sued for acts of campaign anticipation. The celebration for the registration of Celida López as candidate for these elections are considered an act in advance of campaign according to the PT in Sonora. For acts in advance of campaign, the Committee of Labor Party in Hermosillo filed a lawsuit against Mayor Celida López Cárdenas. Celaya emphasized that there was no justification for this kind of festivities, which also did not comply with health regulations, since the registration should have been carried out virtually.
Candidates do not propose to combat gender violence. Journalist and activist Silvia Núñez Esquer points out that they have offered shelters and space to lock them up, not to combat the rapist. A few days before the closing of the campaigns for elected office in the municipalities and for the state, in Hermosillo, the proposals issued do not represent plans of action, according to the human rights specialists. Candidates that will fight for Hermosillo's mayoralty. In the case of Morena, Celida López Cárdenas is going to seek for re-election. Antonio Gutiérrez heads the Alliance Va por Sonora, David Figueroa Ortega por Movimiento Ciudadano, Esther Salas por The Verde Ecologista Party, José Zelaya affiliated to the Partido del Trabajo, Mirna Sotomayor Zazueta heads the Encuentro Solidario Party, Fuerza por México Party nominated Francisco Félix Armenta, and finally, the Progressive Social Networks is headed by Juan Carlos Ornelas. José Zelaya proposes a reactivation of Hermosillo. In an interview with El Sol de Hermosillo, José Zelaya implies he seeks for the rescue of green areas. The insecurity and food poverty are some of the problems that the candidate will address, who also added that he is interested in reactivating the city, and this is all for the local scenario of Mexico's reality.